Hello, welcome to e-projectmanagers.com, and this is a video on how to manage resource units across multiple tasks. My name is Dora Tarver, and in the next few minutes I'm going to show you how, if you have a fixed group of resources that are not 100% allocated to every task in your project schedule, how you can set your schedule up to show that one resource may be working 50% of the time on one task, while that same resource may also be working 60% on another task. So let's get started. Here's Microsoft Project, and I have a resource schedule that I created, and this is just a template. Let's say the task is make boxes and the second task is assemble cables, and we're going to have the same resource working on both of these tasks. So I'm going to select Jane Doe for both of these tasks. Now, Jane isn't going to be 100% allocated to both of these tasks. She's going to be 60% allocated to one task and 50% allocated to another. And there are actually a number of ways to set this up to make that happen, but I think the easiest way is if you go into the resource usage view, which, if you have your views on the left hand side, to go to your views, you just select your menu option view and turn view bar on. Mine is already open, so I'm going to go to resource usage, and this is what I currently have by default in the resource usage view. I have the resource name and the amount of work that they're allocated by hours. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of columns here. I'm going to add the assignment units column, and to do that I'm going to click on the work column and then right click and select insert column, and then I'm going to type the letter A, and then I'm going to scroll down to assignment units and select that, and then click on OK. And I also want to have the actual task name that they're assigned to. Actually, that's already here, so we don't need to do that. This is the resource name and the tasks that they're assigned. Now, by default, all of these are 100% allocated, and we can easily change that by going to the assignment units and assigning whatever percentage of allocation this resource has to making boxes. So let's say it's 60%. And let's say for the second task, which is assemble cables, they're working 50%. Okay? So once I've assigned the units that they're working, I can also go back to my Gantt chart, and you'll see by default project has allocated those units to the resource. You can also actually manually add allocations, assignment units to a resource, by when you select the resource name and you hit F2 to actually edit the cell. If you hit your space key and then type the open bracket, you can type in the percentage that they're allocated for a task and then type in the close bracket. And that's another way to define the allocation for a resource. Okay? Now, another tip that I would like to recommend when you're working with resources, if you go to your, right now we're in the resource usage view, but if you go to your resource sheet, you'll see your various resource names, you'll see the max units that they have, and you can put in dollar amount for their rates, their bill rates, if they have any. That's the default. These are the default columns that you'll see. Personally, what I do is I remove things that I'm not using. I highlight those columns and I hide them. I'm not tracking these things, so I'm going to hide those columns. Don't need these, so I'm going to hide them. And let's just say that I want to know what skills my resources have. Well, what I can do is insert a column, and I'm going to insert a text column. So I right click on the column, select Insert Column, I hit the letter T, and I scroll down to Text 1. And I'm going to type in the title for this column, I'm going to call it Skills. And then I'll click on OK. And let's say Jane's skills are box creation and cable work. Okay. Let me expand the column. And let's say John is cable work and wire lines. Okay, well, you get the idea. You can enter the skills for your resources so that it's easier for you to be able to track who is doing what. And again, when you come into the resource usage or the resource sheet, feel free to hide columns that you're not using, or likewise, when you click on a column, you can right click and then insert a column that you feel might be useful for you. And Microsoft Project has quite a few columns that you can use. Most people hardly ever explore the variety, but as you can see here, there's quite a bit that's available by default. So feel free to take the time to explore the different attributes that are available in Microsoft Project. So that's pretty much it in terms of how you can manage resource units across multiple tasks. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you very much for your time and have an excellent day.